You've hinted on this a couple times throughout, but let's kind of circle it back. Every time you've mentioned labels, you've mentioned if I had a label, you've mentioned like what labels can or should do, like blah blah blah. I want
Yeah.
to I want to like brass tacks this down, right? So in your opinion, in your words, right, what role do labels play in the Nigerian hip hop scene? Like in your words, when you think labels, what is their role in the hip hop scene, in the music industry? What does a label do?
In the past, we've seen them um, introduce artists to us and sponsor those artists to the point where they are huge and we love them. So, for example, the biggest hip hop label back then used to be Chocolate City. You know, though they've rebranded now, so it's not really like a hip hop label anymore. But when Chocolate City started, their major artists were hip hop artists. So we had MI, we had Jesse Jacks, we had Ice Prince. Those were the guys. And then along the line, they now signed a singer, which is Brimo. Brimo became the guy taking the hooks for any of the songs that the group did together. You know, so during that time, we saw other labels who tried to follow the steps of Chalk City, and they were signing rappers. But in the past few years, hip hop hasn't been a wave. Like it's not as big as Afrobeats is right now. So a lot of these labels would rather sign pop artists, singers, Afro artists like that. So uh, it wasn't until recently, I think a few years ago, when Don Jazzy signed Ladipo. I think that's the major label that has signed a hip hop artist in a long time. That's the only one. Davido had Dremel, but Dremel isn't really like hip hop. Like he does all this many other stuff, you know. So Don Jazzy is the only, I think Mavens is the only label that has really signed a hip hop artist recently. And they are allowing the artist be himself. They are not trying to change his sound. That's why Maven is my favorite label anyway. Like they take you as an artist and enhance your sound. They don't change your sound. They enhance whatever you are doing and make it sound better. You know, so but majorly, I don't think labels are doing anything. I don't think they're doing anything for rappers right now because rap isn't popping. If labels were really interested in making, you know, signing rappers, somebody like Paper should be signed to one of these labels because he has immense potentials. Like he already has a following. All he needs now is just funds or whatever it is. You know, I don't know if he has turned down any label contract though. I don't know, but I don't think if any major label comes to him,
so
turn it down.
so that to answer your question right now, you're saying that labels do not play any role in the hip hop scene in Nigeria, in your words.
Nope, I don't think so. I don't know. I just think Maven, Ladipo, AQ, and the other guys are doing it for the culture, right? With the challenges, the ciphers.
Keep
like
in mind, real quick. Keep in mind that I'm not. This is not like a test. Like I'm not like what do labels do. Like the point of this is literally just to get what your perception is because your perception is probably the same as a million other people's perception, right?
Yeah,
so like
I don't think labels
that's the point of
so
this.
when I speak general, like for example, now if you ask me what are the major labels in Nigeria, I would say Mavens, I would say YBNL. Who else? There are some other labels like that. They are not doing anything for hip hop artists right now. Like no.
Okay.
And I think it's fair to them because they are business people and a normal businessman would want to invest in what will profit them. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Which brings me to that's exactly right. Which brings me to the next question, the next point, which is, do you think that labels have a responsibility to the cultures that they hire?
They don't. They don't have a responsibility because they didn't come for that. They came to make money. So they are only going to invest in what they think will be the most fruitful thing to them. You know, so if a rapper blows up tomorrow, they would want to create a clone of that rapper. So they'll go and look for a young rapper to sign. You know, and make him into a superstar like the other one who has blown up. So I think what Nigeria needs right now is a trendsetter. Like what they need from a rapper right now is a trendsetter, is a trailblazer, somebody who will just come and redefine what music is. Just the same way those other guys did it. That so let me ask you this: Ice Prince and the others.
You have very low opinions based on this conversation, right? It would appear as though you have a low opinion of labels as far as what they're currently contributing to the hip hop scene in Nigeria. If that's the so that's the no I'm just summarizing. So that's the case. That's cool. why does it come up in conversation so often? If they're that unimportant and if they're not doing anything for the role right now, period, like
Yeah.
in general, why do you think it's stuck in so many hip hop fans' heads about getting signed, about being on a label, so on and so forth?
But I don't think they are not important. They are. They have money. When you have money, you have a lot to offer the artists. You know, a lot of these artists are probably limited right now because they don't have the backends of these labels. So I don't think they are not important. But I'm just saying right now, a lot of the things you are seeing from hip hop artists are things they are doing for themselves.
Right.
So if these guys get support from the major labels, you will get more from them. So for example, me, I told you I have a, it's not like I'm not working. I'm always working. I'm always doing freestyles, recording. But if I have support from people who they are the only thing they are waiting for is a dope song and we are out the door with it, I would offer those songs to them and we'll push it. But then that's not the case. You know, I have to think of the song. I have to think of funding the song and all this type of stuff, you know. So they can do a lot for us, but right now they are not doing a lot for us because probably they think rappers are not
Profitable.
profitable right now. And nobody
So,
wants to invest in something that will.
you did mention that some artists are big enough to have their own labels and stuff like that. I want to talk about the up and coming artist perspective on labels and what you're let's get into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think, in your words, are the labels' role in the hip hop industry in Nigeria?
Yeah. First of all, there is I don't know if hip hop labels work on the artists as much. So I think artist development is important because a lot of
Okay.
artists are raw, when they get signed and everything. So sometimes you have to develop the artist brand, develop sound to the point where it's fully marketable because hip hop still sells. I mean, you have some of the biggest artists in the world being rappers and everything. So you just have to know, because eventually, if they don't do that and they keep throwing money into the artist's music, trying to push the artist, it might not go so well. And it's not going to be entirely the artist's fault because you could also put some effort into the artist's development as well. So yeah, that's one of the key roles. And also just knowing really what target audience, not just trying to push to everybody, you know?
Okay.
You can
Okay.
really create a cult following. You can really create a cult following for an artist if you really know who really cares to listen to that artist's music. So yeah.
So just to rephrase, you would say that the label's job is artist development and marketing.
Yep.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. Do labels have any responsibility to the hip hop culture if they're signing hip hop artists, or are they a separate entity in and of themselves?
Oh man, it's separate. It's business. I'll be honest
Okay.
with you, it's business.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't always expect them to look out for the community. Cultures shift, things evolve, so they have to adapt whenever they need to adapt.
I can't wait for my own viewing pleasure to get everybody's answers to these questions and put them all next to each other so we can see how everybody's like perspective and opinions on things differ. I think it's going to be interesting as shit. Dude. What role do labels play in the Nigerian hip hop scene, in your own words?
All right, so basically the label is like out to like mold artists. Like a label, the proper structure is supposed to like mold an artist. Okay, you have this talent, let us help you like harness it and take it to the next level. Not like you're not good on your own, but probably let's train you and let's help you market this shit and take it to the next level. Like with proper funding and like plans and strategies. Like the artist necessarily might not have all the strategies or have everything planned out. You might just like have this sketch of what you want to do or who you want to become. But like the label helps you to like put all the pieces together. Like that's supposed to be the like work of a label.
So a label, in your words, is a marketing firm.
Yeah.
That's basically what you explained, right? Like
yeah. Coming up with
Okay.
strategies and all on how to make you like go super mainstream and stuff.
Okay. Do you think that the labels have a responsibility to the culture?
Yeah, of course. Depending, because there's some labels that are known for certain type of like genres of music. There's some labels like back in the day, just EMEZ. Back in the day, EMEZ, House Wizkid, House Skills, what else was it? Neola, and some artists, and then Banky W owned and some other guy owned EME. So then they were known for like say R&B, say R&B slash Afrobeats, R&B slash Afrobeats vibe every time. Then Skills tried to do the hip hop thing. Then sometimes he still rapped and did like singing commercially. So that label is known for that type of music or that type of artist. And there are labels like YBNL, who is known from time to like bring commercial rappers or really streets streets artists and turn them into like global superstars through their street music, like what we call street music, like the fusion of like say traditional music, Fuji, all our subgenres here in Nigeria, and like make it mainstream, like make everybody want to like associate with the streets and not necessarily feel like, oh, I'm like just this, like this is too raz for me or this is too street for me. So there are some labels are known to appropriate like the culture, like they're meant to like just push certain stuff in the culture forward.
So you're saying that you said that they do have a responsibility to the culture, and it sounded like you started backtracking that at the end there, right? So like, why would a marketing firm owe the hip hop culture anything?
Well, I won't say they owe. I just feel like it's more like, okay, you guys are into like you want to be like in this game or in this industry. You're part of the industry now. I feel like it's your duty to like discover talents, groom them, and like make the industry more healthy and make it more, how I put it, like make it more successful from the crop of artists to like feed out every time. Like that's what they owe the industry. They don't necessarily owe the industry much. They just need to like work on artists that they have currently to make them successes. Because sometimes it doesn't always work out, and that's fine also. But I feel like most times the labels could do more for the artist. Like sometimes I feel like they care too much about what they're out to gain, like what the returns the artist will bring and all of that. They're so focused on numbers and
I'm gonna stop you on that. Isn't that a marketing firm's job?
Yeah, this is the marketing firm's job. But also, like I said, the work of the label is also to nurture an artist. But sometimes they focus more on like the music of the artist and not the artist.
Got you. Nah, see, like that part I missed. So like the fact that not just a marketing firm, as far as what you were talking about, like coming up with the strategy and you know what I'm saying, like a marketing strategy, how to push the firm. We actually talk about nurturing an artist. You think that that's part of what a label has to do, as far as like groom an artist, bring them up.
Yeah, grooming artists properly. Yeah.
What you did mention, now you mentioned labels earlier in the conversation with how labels aren't really signing rappers anymore. When they do sign rappers, they try to convert them into more sing-songy type artists. So like in your words, what role do you think labels play in the actual Nigerian hip hop music industry? What do you think is their responsibility?
So before I get to that, I'll explain why they do what they do. Okay. It's not just a music industry, it's a music business. They're not in the music industry, they're in the music business. So it's still like not that it's music, it's still a business. They're trying to make money. Right? So they'll always do something that is sure to work to mitigate their risk. Now, it will take a brand or a label that has stupendous amount of money and they actually love hip hop to be able to invest that money back into hip hop. If that doesn't happen, like if a brand or a label doesn't, because it take a lot of money, they don't pump money into hip hop. It's going to take a while. Because like I said, they keep signing. If you sign a rapper, like I said, for his lyrical ability and he can sing, we've seen it countless number of times where rappers start singing. Like I was only dropping proper rap songs, right? And I dropped a song where it's still rap, it's a rap song, but I sang on that song. It's like an emo rap song. And people told me they wanted to hear me sing more.
Do you get offended by that?
I didn't, because before I knew how to rap, I liked singing. I didn't just have a good voice at the time.
Gotcha. What role do you think labels play in the Nigerian hip hop scene, in your own words?
Man, very big role. Very, very big role. Let me just give an example with an artist, Ladipo. Ladipo has been one of the best rappers for years in Africa, not even in Nigeria, in Africa, Daddy Poe, for years, man, sometimes I listen to Daddy Poe. That's before he got signed. Now I'll be like, man, how is it going to happen for this guy? Like, I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, you know, I said stuff like, if I make money, I'm signing this guy first. And he got signed by Maven, one of the biggest record labels in Africa, New Jersey. Even when he got in, people would be like, how is he going to survive? Because he's the only rapper in the label. But man, Daddy Poe has been doing great since.
Thriving.
He's doing great. So I think sometimes, not sometimes.
But you knew that.
And labels are the engine. The labels are the engine. They're very, very important in the music scene. Look at Chocolate City.
So let me ask you this then. Here's the follow-up question to that then. Do you think that those labels, since you're saying that they play a huge role in the music industry, do you think that the labels have any responsibility to the culture, not just the business?
Yeah. They have in fact, they play a very big role. A very big role. Almost every upcoming artist's dream is to get signed by one of these labels. So that means that they play a very big role. So and they have a very big responsibility to the culture. To the culture. Chocolate City has been this responsibility, they have been carrying it for a long time. In fact, I think right now, like sometimes when you hear Chocolate City signed an artist, it's a little bit awkward seeing the now signed singers. Like some persons just feel like, man, it's a hip hop level. Gotcha. Some persons feel that way. You understand? But this is because the way they carry the culture on their shoulders with the shop boys, the Ice Queens, GSGang, MI with a couple of other guys. Yeah. So I think that the labels, they owe a very big responsibility to the culture. I really believe that the reason why some persons, made the utterances of hip hop not being so alive in Nigeria, all also lies down to labels. They ignore rappers.
Interesting.
They ignore rappers a lot. You understand? So, and I think in the rappers' part, you can argue some of them do not show the ability to make songs that can play in, they just do the rap battle stores and everything. But right now, it's no longer the case. We have lots of rappers showing that they can battle rap, they can create good music, they can do it all. So nobody has an excuse anymore. So I think that they owe us a big responsibility to get these talented folks signed up. So yes, they owe us lots of responsibility. I feel like they've not been keeping up with. It's not about signing singers and everything. And in fact, they're turning some of the rappers to only singing. I think I hate that a lot. It touches my heart a lot. So, but I think that they owe us lots of responsibility. They are the engine of the industry, and they have been playing a big role.
Do you find it hypocritical at all? Like, take your stance as an artist is like, man, I started off rapping, but I ended up having more fun as a singer. So singing is like where my passion is, and you're talking about like play to the audience. But now you're kind of chopping up labels for doing the same thing that you talked about earlier, which is play to your audience. If the audience is dictating that the sing-songy shit is what's moving.
Yeah. I think what's different with what labels are doing and then what I did is that there is a difference between not being good in something, even though you want it, and in being good in something, but they don't want you to do that.
Okay.
So that's the thing.
That's a good response, my guy. You got me. That was a great response. That's